I feel like I'm on fire. My whole body is being burnt alive, and every day I'm being tortured by this excruciating pain. This is what hell feels like. My life was completely ripped away from me, and all I was thinking was that I'm about to die. Hello, my name is Amelia, and I've been diagnosed with a high number of conditions which have utterly destroyed my life. They've affected my brain, my body and my nervous system as a whole. Some of these include small fibre neuropathy, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, autonomic dysfunction, allodynia, fibromyalgia, I have an allergy to water, and of course, full body CRPS, the deadly disease. This all began in September 2017. I was a normal 17-year-old teenager, had my whole life ahead of me, then overnight suddenly become paralysed, lost the use of all four limbs, my taste and my touch. Started with a huge bruise at the top of my leg and burning in both my big toes. I couldn't weight bear, couldn't walk, and I had the most intense pins and needles in my hands, legs and feet. And this all happened out the blue with no apparent reason. A lot of you are probably confused or a bit unsure about what I mean by my big toes was burning, but it was the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced. From the surface of my toes, deep down into the veins, it felt like they were on fire. I was a very robust girl and had a high pain tolerance, but I was screaming out loud, sobbing and begging for someone to help me. I was all on my own and was completely petrified over what was happening. For me to be screaming the way I was, I knew something was seriously wrong. The feeling was continuously there and just wasn't going. So fast forward, my brain and my body was eventually shutting down. My lips were turning blue and I went deathly white. Everything just stopped. I stopped breathing and I laid in that hospital bed thinking I was about to die. There aren't any words in this world that can comprehend what this pain feels like, but in terms of the burning, it feels like you're being set alight and left to burn and then having sandpaper being rubbed into your wounds. As graphic as that sounds, that's the reality. In addition to that, every day I feel constant stabbing and shooting pains. I have agonising pins and needles. I experience spasms and jerks in my body. I have numbness, paralysis. My limbs don't feel like they're attached to my body and more. This pain is everywhere, from my head down to my toes. The only place not affected is the right side of my face. It's even more difficult when chronic fatigue takes over, as there's a constant deep dull pain in your body. Your bones feel like they're being broken and I feel like I've been hit and crushed by a bus. Due to not being able to walk, I have to get around on my hands and knees, which not only is degrading but is now become extremely dangerous as my knees are completely damaged. I've had so many injuries where my knees have popped, they've dislocated, they're completely bruised, cut open and swollen. My knees have now formed in 3 different parts and putting pressure on them makes me feel physically sick. Having paralysis is very emotionally distressing. I feel trapped inside my own body. It is horrendous. I have severe panic attacks and it's so scary to all of a sudden have no control over your own body. I've been there for hours and hours pushing and straining just to try and lift a leg or bend a toe and nothing happens. I'm sobbing in the night as I can't lay comfortably and I get stuck in the bed due to not being able to move. I'm stuck in the same position and that increases my pain levels even more. As you can probably gather, I don't get any sleep. I'm awake till 4 AM, sometimes later. My sleep's broken. I'm drained. I'm physically and mentally drained. I'm so tired and I just want to go to sleep. Due to the allodynia, anything touching my skin hurts. It's so sore and my skin stings. For example, my bedding feels like stinging nettles are being rubbed all over my body. Things that wouldn't normally hurt a person, like clothing, I am really hypersensitive to, so I have to make sure everything's soft. But some days I can't even tolerate that. So again, for example, this hoodie is really soft, but I can already feel it starting to sting my skin. Having neuropathic pain means my skin itches terribly, and the most aggravating thing about it is it feels like thousands of ants are crawling inside my body. No matter how much I scratch, the itch just doesn't go, and when my skin flares up, especially my legs and my feet, I can scratch them till they bleed, but there's just no relief. It is really tormenting. My other leg has started itching now as well. Ow. Ow. It's so itchy. It hurts. Sensation of me scratching my leg is burning.
It's horrible.
I'm also hypersensitive to sound and light. This causes excruciating pain in my eyes and my head. Feels like fireworks are being kind of shooted around my brain, and it's kind of like a dull, full stabbing pain. Being allergic to water means that washing is pure torture. Having this added on to the pain I already experience, it's just hell. Going in the water burns me. It makes my skin so incredibly sore. It burns, it itches, it goes really thick and dry, it's like scaly skin. It stings, and I've also had my skin peel off. No matter what temperature I have the water, it still feels boiling hot. Obviously I have it on a colder setting to try and make it more bearable, but it doesn't make a difference. The sensation of the shower hurts. It feels like I'm being fired with bullets, and I have electric shocks all over my body. Can't get in the bath on my own because I can't lift my legs in and out. And when they're in the water, it becomes even more difficult. If I go in the bath, it feels like I'm being submerged into a bath of hot oil. So either way, I will always suffer. Drying after is the next hurdle. The feeling of a towel on my skin hurts so badly, so I have to sit there and dry naturally, which isn't ideal or practical. Even after being out the water, hours after, I will still be crying, feeling like I'm on fire. I dread this so much. It is traumatizing, horrific, and exhausting. This also means that when I sweat or cry, the same thing happens. It's been so bad before that it's actually blistered my skin. It's gone red, swollen, and it's really, really sore. Because my body can't regulate temperature, the top half of me is always really, really hot, but my knees down to my feet is always ice cold, and no matter how much I try to keep them warm, it never gets warm, and that's really painful and also causes discoloration. So weather conditions also has an effect on this. So in the winter it is awful because I'm so ice cold that it is so painful. It feels like I'm frozen and numb from the inside. And when I'm in the summer, opposite things happen. So my legs and my feet become really swollen. Going from being a very independent teenager, I then reverted back to being a baby. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't understand how to do things. I had to relearn how to write again, know what things are. I lost my taste, my touch. I completely lost it all. I couldn't differentiate objects or feelings, and hours of desensitization a day still made no difference. I couldn't feed myself, swallow my food, dress myself, brush my teeth. All of these simple things that people do on a daily basis without even thinking, I could no longer do. As embarrassing as it is for me to say, I had to use bedpans and commodes, which still wasn't practical, but I had no other choice because I couldn't get to the toilet. Having to use these type of things at my age does make me feel really embarrassed.
I was stuck on the toilet for nearly an hour just because my legs down to my feet, with the whole thing was numb. It was pins and needles, and it was so painful. It's just ridiculous. It really is.
I've had so many times where I've been dragged across the floor on a towel just to get to the toilet because I couldn't do it myself. It's just, well, there's no words really. I refused to eat because I was so angry that someone else had to do it for me, because I couldn't move my hands or my fingers to grip the cutlery, and I couldn't even lift my arms to be able to feed myself. At 17, or even my age now at 22, no one wants to be in that situation or do that. I felt shameful and embarrassed, and all my dignity just went out the window. These conditions have taken over my body internally and externally. I now have both bladder and bowel dysfunction. The pain that I suffer with every day not only affects my physical health but my mental health too. I now have severe anxiety, depression, agoraphobia, and post-traumatic stress disorder due to the trauma. I'm extremely anxious when I'm in a flare because I don't know how bad it's going to get or how long it's going to last. Then when it does finally end, I'm then filled with worry and dread of when it's next going to happen. They're unexpected and vary each time. I have no control whatsoever. I have panic attacks and I'm living in constant fear. The best way to describe it is I feel like I'm in sinking mud, desperately trying to get to the top, and then when I finally do, I just get dragged straight back down.
I just can't cope with it anymore. It's just ridiculous. This pain is horrendous. It's the hardest pain to cope with, and especially when it's everywhere in your body.
I've completely hit rock bottom. I am so depressed. I cry every day. I wake up crying. I go to bed crying, just knowing what the day will bring. I'm exhausted from crying. I'm exhausted from this pain. And I'm exhausted from my life. Every day I dream not to feel like this and just to feel normal again. I don't even know what normal feels like anymore. It's a very lonely and isolating world. I've lost everything I ever had and I just feel like an empty existence. Having your ability taken away from you makes you feel completely worthless, and I feel like a failure all the time. And this pain makes me hate my life and it makes me hate myself. I'm just completely sad and very lost. My life just feels like a broken up jigsaw puzzle that's got pieces missing and now it's impossible to put back together. I've got to that point now where I'm just so over it all and day by day just losing that fight to keep going. I go to bed of a night and don't care if I don't wake up in the morning. I wish that I wasn't here, because then at least I wouldn't have to suffer anymore. It breaks my heart how my life has ended up like this and how sad I am. I've always tried to hide everything, put on a brave face and never really admitted how bad I'm feeling. Because I've always had to be positive, but I just can't do it anymore. I can't cope anymore and I don't see a way out and I just don't know what to do.
I'm pushing and pushing and pushing every single day. I can't do this anymore.
I never moan about it or say, why has this happened to me? I just try and get on with it, but that's become impossible. I'd like to think I'm a good person and I just want happiness and no pain. And I think everyone in this world deserves that. For the past 6 years, I have tried every possible solution to try and help this pain or at least ease it slightly, but nothing's worked. When this first happened, I was in hospital for 5 weeks. I was then transferred to the Evelina Children's Hospital in London, but no one knew what to do. And then eventually I had to leave there due to my age, and I've been alone ever since, constantly fighting and just desperately needing help. Pain specialists and doctors just try and sweep you under the carpet because your case is too complex, and they just medicate you because there's no cure. But there is not one single tablet in this world that can take this pain away. And believe me, I'm on them all. The highest doses of opioids and nerve medication, and it just doesn't even touch the sides. You could pick me up and rattle me, and I've just got all these pick a mix of medications, but they're not helping the situation. You get brain fog, you don't know what's happening half the time. You don't feel like a person, and with the weight gain as well, I put on 5 stone in weight just like that, and that doesn't help me physically, and I'm just in a situation where I'm just stuck in this circle and I'm trapped and I just can't find a way out. I've been on a cannabis trial, which I had to do privately. I've had ketamine and lidocaine infusions. To be told at my age, this is your life now and there's nothing we can do, it's a life I wouldn't wish on anybody. You are made to feel like you're mental and what's happening to you isn't real. There's nothing more patronising and condescending than telling somebody it's all in your head, even after physically seeing how much it's destroying you. People don't believe you just because there's not a tablet that can get rid of it. It's then not real, and that's probably the worst part of it all. You're on your own dealing with this massive thing that has completely flipped your life upside down, yet you're the one then made to feel guilty and like it's your fault. Be positive, tell the pain to go away and it will, just don't think about it. And if it was really that simple, I would have waved my magic wand and I would have waved it a very long time ago. It makes you feel a lot worse about yourself.
I'm doing my best to keep being positive every single day. I'm doing everything I can and it hurts like hell.
I wouldn't wish this pain on anybody, but for somebody else to experience it and understand what it's like living through this daily, I think a lot of their opinions and judgments would be very different. Thinking about how I was before this compared to now, I see 2 very different people. I can't look in a mirror without hating what I see, and it is the most horrible and, again, disheartening feelings you could ever feel. I've seen how much I've missed out on and how fast these past 6 years have gone, and it's scary, and I don't want to continue on like this. I'm doing this fundraiser in order to get the treatment I need in America to have a last chance at life. This is my last resort and my last bit of hope I have left in me. I hate asking, but I'm 22. I don't have any other option. I've suffered in silence for 6 years, and I just want to take back what was cruelly taken away from me at 17. My life and me. Making this video has been really hard for me. I feel extremely exposed. I feel embarrassed and I feel really vulnerable. But hopefully if I can get that treatment, I won't have these worries anymore. And the day I know I'm happy again is the day I wake up with no pain and a smile. This is only part of my story, and I hope with your help it doesn't have to end here. I'd be more than grateful if you could please send this to anybody you know, post it on your social media, literally anything. I am just really, really desperate. And I just pray to God that I can win this fight against the fire. Thank you for taking the time to listen. All the information and more details about me is on the page, but I just wanted to do a quick overview video just to give you a better insight into my world. Thank you again.